Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome again to the UC Santa Barbara Natural Reserve System virtual seminar series. We're so happy to have you back here with us again, and if this is your first time joining, you are in for a treat. Tonight's host is the Santa Cruz Island Reserve, and this is one of 7 reserves that the UC Santa Barbara campus manages. And we're very lucky tonight to have Cristina Soto-Balderas of the UCSB Office of Education Partnerships, and also Dr. Jay Reti, who's the director of Santa Cruz Island Reserve, joining us tonight. Before we get started, I wanted to just give you a little intro to the UC Natural Reserve System if you're not familiar with us yet. And then I was going to talk a little bit just about the housekeeping, how you submit your Q&A questions for us tonight and what the format will be. So just to get us started, what is the UC Natural Reserve System? Well, it's a very special thing. The UC Natural Reserve System is a network of 41 reserves or 41 properties distributed across the state of California. And these are lands that are protected specifically for research, university level education, and public service. And with this seminar series, we've been giving you a virtual tour of all 7 of UCSB's reserves. And this week, we're on our 6th week of our 7-week series. As I mentioned tonight, we'll be hearing about all the great things that are happening at Santa Cruz Island Reserve. And our other 6 reserves are also distributed across the state. And you've probably seen a lot of them if you've been driving through the Santa Barbara area or even on the Eastern Sierra. We've got the Carpinteria Salt Marsh Reserve, Coal Point Reserve, which is located on the UCSB campus, Rancho Merino Reserve, located up in Cambria. We've got 2 over in the Eastern Sierra, one called the Sierra Nevada Aquatic Research Laboratory, or SNARL, and Valentine Camp Reserve. And heading back down south again, there's Sedgwick Reserve, located in the Santa Ynez Valley. And of course, last but not least, Santa Cruz Island Reserve, which, as you know, we'll be hearing about tonight. So just a little bit about our format tonight. We're going to start with about a 15-minute introduction from Jay, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the reserve. And then we'll hear from our speaker, Cristina Soto-Balderas. The format after Cristina finishes speaking is that we'll have a Q&A session, and that's the chance for you, our audience, to interact and participate with us. Please submit your questions for either Jay or Cristina by using the Q&A function, and that's down at the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom window. I'm sure everybody is quite familiar with that. And I will moderate the Q&A, and we'll try to get to everyone's questions. They're always very good, but usually we don't have enough time for questions. We'll end the evening at 8 o'clock tonight. This webinar will be recorded, and it'll be put up on the UCSB Natural Reserve System YouTube page, along with all the other seminars that we've had this year and also last year as well. So if you have anyone that you'd like to show this to, or if you want to check it out again, then please check the UCSB-NRS YouTube page, and the link for this will be sent to you in a follow-up email as well. So without further ado, Jay, will you please take us away from here? Thank you.
Great, Marianne. Thank you so much for that great introduction, and welcome everybody to the seminar series for the Santa Cruz Island Reserve tonight. We are super lucky to have Cristina Soto-Balderas joining us, so I will introduce her in about 15 minutes. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of the reserve, give you an update as to what we've been doing, especially over the last year and a half coming out of COVID. And before I do that, I'd like to make an acknowledgement. This is a land acknowledgement that we're currently working on with the Chumash, and I'd like to use tonight. The Santa Cruz Island Reserve wishes to acknowledge that Santa Cruz Island, or Limu, is the homeland of the Chumash people. We pay our respects to the Chumash people, past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the culture of Santa Cruz Island, which has become a place of learning for people from all over the world. Santa Cruz Island Reserve, if you're not familiar with the reserve, is located on the largest of the Channel Islands off of the coast of Santa Barbara in the Central Valley of the island. Now, when you're looking at the island from the mainland, you see the northern mountain range. But as soon as you get out to the island and drive into the Central Valley, you're struck by a very dominant southern range as well. And the Santa Cruz Island Reserve is lucky enough to sit right in that valley. It's a beautiful setting. The field station there was established starting in 1966 as a tented camp for UCSB geology. At this point, the island was privately owned by Cary Stanton. He was a medical doctor and really passionate about research. He wanted to understand the island and was very open to UCSB researchers coming and utilizing the space. By 1973, the first field station was actually established, and the Santa Cruz Island Reserve was formally added to the UC Natural Reserve System. So we're coming up, 2023 will be 50 years for the Santa Cruz Island Reserve. The field station is a super comfortable place. If you've been lucky enough to go there, you know what I'm talking about. It's about a 3.5 mile drive from Prisoners Harbor, where me or my staff pick you up, bring you up the dirt road through the Cañada to the Central Valley. The field station can house 30 to 40 people. There's a big communal kitchen, wood burning stove inside, fire pit outside, private rooms, dorm rooms, showers, and we're all very sustainably sourced. We have mainly solar panels for electricity and hot water, propane for cooking and to supplement that hot water if we need it. We've been lucky enough to get support from the UCSB Green Initiative Fund over the last few years as well to help support especially the solar arrays and make our appliances more energy efficient. So we're really proud of the field station and the 1,000 people a year that come through, researchers, educators, classes, and some public outreach groups as well. Santa Cruz Island is so unique, even among the Channel Islands, because of its diversity of ecosystems. These big mountain ranges that run east to west form many different kind of micro ecosystems that are perfect for research, from geology and archaeology to entomology and botany, mycology, climate science, soil science. We have everything. It's very, very, all of the research is very broad that occurs on the island. And so I want to just show you a few pictures to demonstrate kind of the diversity of these landscapes. This is another view of the main valley, the Central Valley on Santa Cruz Island. But if you take this valley all the way out to the west, it terminates at Christie Ranch. You can see those little white buildings there. It's the 1850s ranch where researchers and classes still stay. If you go all the way out to the west end, you get to Fraser Point. This is cliffy and craggy with big waves. I was just out there not too long ago with swell coming in from this past storm, and it was tremendously huge. These giant waves battering the cliff sides out there. You get a lot of seabirds and nesting seabirds in this area. And the intertidal zone here has been researched for decades. There's a lot of long-term data. And they're as pristine as you can get along the coastline. At low tide at Fraser Point, it's not uncommon to see just thousands of black abalone, of the red Santa Barbara sea urchins, of just all kinds of diversity of animals. As you continue to the south side of the island, it feels almost more like Baja. You get clear, bright blue waters, deep kelp forests, bald eagles soaring above, and a really interesting dynamic meeting of ecosystems, especially coming from the west of Ice Age flora with coniferous bishop pine forests, and from the east, much more of that kind of Mexican chaparral coming up and kind of battling it out as climate change occurs. Now, the reserve itself shares property with the Nature Conservancy, who owns the western 76% of Santa Cruz Island. The eastern 24% is owned by the National Park Service. It's Channel Islands National Park, of which Santa Cruz Island is a part. And the UCSB field station works in concert with the Nature Conservancy And we support and facilitate the majority of the research, the education, and the public outreach that occurs on the western side of Santa Cruz Island. A few really kind of big momentous things have happened over the last year. And this is especially important because the island, as you can imagine, was hit fairly hard by COVID. Being in a remote location, if you come down with anything on the island, it can be serious. And so we closed for quite some time through COVID. We've been very safely and cautiously reopening and welcoming research and educational groups back. We're getting our first classes coming back finally, which is wonderful to see. But one of the things that we did accomplish through COVID was the successful writing and development of a strategic plan, a 10-year plan from 2021 to 2031. This is a National Science Foundation funded strategic plan. We engaged with over 350 of our stakeholders to write this. We're very proud of it, and this will be available publicly soon. So if you're part of our mailing list, you will certainly see that coming up, and it'll be available on our website starting very soon. One of our other big COVID wins during this closure period is the establishment and of climate monitoring system. So for years we've had weather stations on the island, but there have been only a few, some maintained by the Natural Reserve System, others privately maintained by research groups. What we've been able to do in partnership with the NRS California Heartbeat Initiative is establish a new climate monitoring system as a proof of concept on the south side of the island in a very remote location, kind of near Christie Ranch, but still a ways out there. And what we've been able to do is install these little weather stations, very effective, very cost efficient, and can stand up to the conditions out there. And we are also starting with Charles Jones and some of the researchers at UC Santa Barbara. We are starting to establish fog monitoring as well in the same area. And what's been great is that we've been able to connect all of these climate monitoring stations to an internet uplink point. So this array that we have is all open access data that is live streamed. So you could go to the UCNRS Dendra database that houses all of the NRS weather data across the state and see right now what the weather conditions in these areas are like on Santa Cruz Island. This is huge for research and for allowing researchers remotely to access all of this information live and back through time. We've had a lot of interest in this, so we are expanding this across the island, and we're working on funding this so that we can get weather stations and climatic data from across the island. But not only across the island, we're also working with our partners within the NRS, at the Nature Conservancy, at the National Park Service, at NOAA, and with our Navy partners as well, to try to establish a regional climate monitoring system here. And this is important for a lot of reasons. For the island, it's important to understand climatic conditions and how climate change is affecting fog regimes on the islands for all of the fog adapted species, for instance. But it's also important to understand the Channel Islands' place in building predictive algorithms for climatic patterns on the mainland, for fire propagation and safety. And so the island is holding a really kind of key place to do this. And we're really excited for the next year to work with our partners and begin the expansion of this program. We are also really lucky to welcome back this year the UCNRS Matthias grant recipients. These are graduate students who are funded to do research across multiple Natural Reserve System sites. So we had things as diverse as studying the morphological patterning and sexual selection characteristics of side-blotched lizards on the island as compared to mainland California, studying pollination strategies on the island. On the island, we don't have European honeybees, so there's a lot of comparison between the mainland and the island where there are more native pollinators. We have had work done in intertidal zones, looking at isotopic work of mussels in different locations and using that to backtrack archaeological signatures. All kinds of fascinating research coming through these grant recipients from across the UC system. We've also, we are welcoming back some of our high school classes finally. We have long-term relationships with several high schools that get students out into the field and start training them and exposing them to field sciences. We are partnering with this to also incorporate teacher trainings. So we are inviting high school biology, environmental science teachers, especially from schools in California disadvantaged communities, to come out and to learn research methods in the field sciences and then bring those lessons back to their classrooms. One of the takeaways from our strategic plan, one of the goals is, how do we take the island and bring it to the mainland more effectively? We can't bring everybody out to the island. It's remote and kind of limited in that capacity, but everyone should care. And so this is one of the ways that we can both bring that messaging to the mainland, but also to expose high school students who might not be aware of field science opportunities, what the field sciences are, what kinds of research is going on, and that these majors exist in college. We've also started with some Chumash trips out to the island. We had our inaugural trip just about a month and a half ago, and we are planning on having at least quarterly trips out with Chumash-led programming. So we're very excited about this. This is partnering with, like I said, Chumash-led programming, and then also with archaeological monitoring and ongoing archaeological projects. And we have a lot of other very successful programs like the Smithsonian Scholars Program. I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now because Cristina Soto-Balderas will be doing that in her talk this evening. But this training program provides paid internships for first-generation college students and is just fantastic. The success we've had and the caliber of students that come out and what they're able to accomplish is just extremely rewarding, really, really wonderful. We're also branching out and working with the arts and humanities. Over the next year, we're planning on establishing our first cohort of artists in residence to bring the arts back to the mainland and engage with a different community in the California mainland as well. And finally, we're really lucky to be in the Channel Islands and to be able to partner with so many wonderful organizations and stakeholders, from the Nature Conservancy, who we share all of our on-island time with, to the National Park Service and Channel Islands National Park, all of the research and public outreach that they do, to mainland institutions like the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, who does a lot of work with our rare plants programs and propagating rare plants back into their endemic habitats, to Island Packers, who brings us, our staff, all of our users back and forth from the island every day. We're very lucky to have all these people to work with. All of this programming we're very proud of. It does cost a lot of money to do this, to bring people out, to bring all of the supplies, all of the gasoline, all of the Wi-Fi equipment for your Zoom calls and Wi-Fi calling, all of the vehicles and maintenance. So if it's within your means, we invite always donations. You can visit our website to see more with that. And I hope all of you can get out to Santa Cruz Island at some point. If you go out to the Channel Islands National Park, you're guaranteed to see these little guys. They are all over the place, the Santa Cruz Island fox. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Cristina Soto-Balderas. And to introduce her, Cristina Soto-Balderas is a third-year PhD student at UCSB studying policy, leadership, and research methods in education. She works for the UCSB Office of Education Partnerships as the program coordinator for the UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program. Cristina is also a UCSB alum, graduating in 2017 with a degree in mathematics and a minor in geospatial science. Previously, Cristina was a transfer student attending Santa Barbara City College. So please help me in welcoming Cristina Soto-Balderas. Cristina, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the UCSB Natural Reserve System Fall Seminar Series. I want to also share, we have two principal investigators of the program, and I have provided their information on the slides. Mario Castellanos, the Executive Director of the UCSB Office of Education Partnerships, and Dr. Jesus Maldonado, who is a researcher in the Center for Conservation Genomics at the Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute. I would also like to thank the Smithsonian Latino Center. The UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program received federal support from the Latino Initiatives Pool administered by the Smithsonian Latino Center. And I also want to thank the UC Natural Reserve System with the special thanks to Dr. Lyndall Lauren. Lyndall was instrumental in helping us establish the program. He made sure we were welcomed. He took the time to really help us learn the human and the natural history of the island. And he also gave us really practical knowledge that helped us to become self-sufficient on Santa Cruz Island. And although I love being outdoors, I didn't have a lot of experience being in rugged environments. So I really appreciate the time that Lyndall took to make sure that we could find our bearings, sometimes literally. And our office is happy to be involved in the Santa Cruz Island strategic planning efforts, and we hope to continue to strengthen our partnership. So in today's presentation, I will provide an overview of the UCSB Smithsonian Scholars Program, background and context for developing the program, ongoing research projects on the Santa Cruz Island Research Station, share a summary of student impacts to date, and finally, I hope to answer your questions and take some comments at the end of my presentation. So let's start with the target audience. This program was created to serve California Community College and UCSB students. We serve full-time STEM students who are first in their families to attend college and or are low income. Underrepresented minorities in STEM are given the highest priority. Students must be in good academic standing, completed a full year of coursework, and be enrolled full-time in one of our partner schools. So these schools include UCSB, Allen Hancock College, Santa Barbara City College, Ventura College, Oxnard College, and East LA College. So it's quite a spread. Here are our overall program components. Our summer program provides foundational data science skills in the programming language R and provides hands-on field research training through a variety of mentorship opportunities. So our program, it's been held in Washington, D.C., in Panama, and the Channel Islands of Santa Rosa and Santa Cruz. In addition, we also provide professional development workshops and invite research mentors in our network to recruit interns through a series of research webinars. This gives our students access to a network of paid internships, fellowships, and post-bac opportunities. These research opportunities are hosted locally on the UCSB main campus, on the Santa Cruz Island Natural Reserve Station, and the Smithsonian research facilities. During the academic year, we focus on preparing students for competitive internship opportunities. Through our internships, we have had many researchers join our network of collaborators. The support for students has been structured to tier resources around students as they progress through the program. So for example, recent grads and advanced students can apply to post-bac or independent study opportunities through our collaborative network. It is through these collaborating research partners that we can immerse students in field research. So here we are in Santa Cruz Island, hiking to the Fire Ecology research site east of the main ranch. Students have a unique opportunity to work collaboratively with researchers and their teammates. They learn valuable leadership and professional skills while also gaining critical research experience. We recruit these students through a regional alliance of Hispanic serving institutions in Ventura and Santa Barbara County. Today, our partners include the Nature Conservancy, the National Park Service, the Smithsonian Institution, the Regional Alliance of Hispanic Serving Institutions, and the University of California. The goal is simple: to create meaningful research experiences that help students become competitive to transfer to a four-year institution. We also want to ensure that they arrive at the respective universities with an adequate academic portfolio and access to a network of mentors. I want to briefly set the context by looking at some demographic information for California community colleges. The composition of our California community colleges for 2017 and 2018 show that why many California community colleges are Hispanic serving institutions. 44.5% of California community college students identify as Hispanic, and given that Hispanic serving community colleges enroll most of the college students in California, they play a critical role in meeting the needs of a changing economy. Yet, if we look at the 6-year transfer rate for 2010 and 2011, they're really low for Latinx and African American populations, with Latinx at 31% and African American populations at 35%. This when compared to whites at 44% and Asian Americans at 53%, according to the Public Policy Institute in California. Most students with the intent to transfer never do so. Nationally, Hispanics make up 18.5% of the population, according to the US 2020 census. If we look at the US STEM degree attainment, the percentage of Hispanic students with a master's degree is only 11.2%, and a doctorate degree is only 7.7%. So we must continue to expand our support for students beyond the baccalaureate if we are to address deficiency in URM, or underrepresented minority students with postgraduate degrees. And given that, according to the Pew Research Center, 3 in 10 STEM workers have a postgraduate degree, we can't afford to leave behind the underrepresented minority students who make up such a large portion of our workforce, which is why providing meaningful research experiences to our students is so important. And there's no better place than Santa Cruz to inspire the next generation of island researchers. We currently collaborate on 2 ongoing research projects on the Santa Cruz Island Reserve. The first project I will talk about today is the Santa Cruz Island Spotted Skunk Monitoring Project, which is a partnership with the Nature Conservancy, the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, and the Smithsonian Data Science Lab. The objective is to estimate the population density of the endemic spotted skunk on Santa Cruz Island using wildlife cameras and machine learning techniques. We are developing a machine learning algorithm that can identify the skunk by their unique fur patterns, as you can see on the image on the right. Students can estimate the population density by counting individual skunks that are captured by our camera traps. This is no easy task, as we have logged over 1 million images throughout the rugged terrain from the west of the isthmus, from the west to the isthmus of the island. So you can see here, we're working in a large area. Students work collaboratively to collect the data, maintain the cameras on the island, and analyze data using the programming language Python to create a reference library that will help sort our images on a larger scale. So this is easier said than done when you think about the rugged landscape. The distances between our camera points can also be a couple hours. It can take us all day to cross the island, and there's no easy way to make up for missing or misplaced gear, for example. So logistics and inventory must be triple checked, and it's a huge part of what our students learn to do, which is project management and effective communication with your team and principal investigator. So these experiences are challenging, but offer a unique learning experience that few students with my background get to experience. So I participated in this research project as an undergrad at UCSB, and I remember feeling a little bit unsure of myself, but I had great mentors who supported me and taught me what I needed to know, and to make sure taught me how to get my deliverables done and my data secured. And my experiences at Santa Cruz Island Reserve gave me direction, real work experience, research experience, and it made me stand out against my peers. It really inspired me to pursue higher education. It's a rigorous experience, but it is really a rewarding one. So I would like to share a statement from our scholar, Dalila Lara, who is part of our undergraduate population monitoring research team. Dalila is a current senior at UCSB and first in her family to attend college. And she says that as part of the UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program, I've had the opportunity to be a field Cruz scholar in the Santa Cruz Island Reserve to monitor the endemic spotted skunk population. I was working in remote areas with a diverse team with different backgrounds. Having the opportunity to conduct research on Santa Cruz Island allowed me to realize how much I enjoy it. Now I plan to pursue a PhD in environmental science after completing my bachelor's degree in biological anthropology at UCSB. My career goals include pursuing a conservation researcher career. Pursuing a PhD would not have been a career choice if I had not had the experience of conducting research on the Santa Cruz Island Reserve, as it allowed me to reflect on how much I enjoy research. So that is Dalila on the right with the red bandana, and then handling the camera on the left. So. The second research project that we are collaborating on is the Santa Cruz Island Fire Ecology Project. That is a partnership with UCSB, the Smithsonian Migratory Bird Center, the Nature Conservancy, the National Park Service, and the National Park Service. This research project started in 2018 after a fire incident on Santa Cruz Island, and it is led by Dr. Scott Sillett and Dr. Mario Pessendorfer. The project goal is to assess if the endemic scrub jay's acorn caching behavior can help restore burn areas. We currently have 6 students as part of the fire ecology research team, and they will be collecting data from October through January to better understand how we can use island scrub jay to restore oak habitat in areas that have been affected by fire. There was actually a really great article written about this project by Audubon, and I can share the link for those who are interested in the chat. It was written by Sarah Gilman, and the photos were taken by Morgan Heim. You can see the island scrub jay pick up the 2 acorns. That is the platform. So we place the acorns there, and then the scrub jay comes in, swoops in, and picks them up. And students are standing by waiting to project a waypoint of the location of the cached acorns. So students are then, they return back a couple months later and they check for seedlings using those projected points. So I would like to share another statement from our scholar, Diana Portugal, who is part of our undergraduate fire ecology research team. Diana recently transferred to UCLA from Santa Barbara City College and will be first in her family to graduate from a 4-year university. She is majoring in molecular cell and developmental biology. And this is her statement. So my first experience on Santa Cruz Island was through the UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program for a week-long orientation. Being part of an immigrant household, my parents never had the time to take me to experience nature growing up. And being on the island surrounded by people who felt such an intense appreciation for the island, its foliage, its inhabitants, and each other was for me an experience like no other. As someone who has always been the quiet kid growing up, being surrounded by outgoing and accomplished people who made an active effort to get to know me and cultivate my enthusiasm for ecology and conservation formed a unique connection, building a relationship with both the people and the environment around the reserve. These experiences have developed my character in a way that traditional schooling could never. So, and that's Diana on the left there with the cat. She has a bag of acorns there, and she's showcasing the platforms to students who are visiting the research site. So since summer of 2015, we've had 144 students in our program. 89 of our community college students have transferred to 4-year institutions. A total of 60 students have successfully graduated with a 4-year degree, with a total of 54 STEM degrees awarded, showing a high major retention rate within STEM. In addition, we've had 8 graduate students, 4 who have earned graduate degrees. I joined the program during its pilot year in 2015 as a community college student attending Santa Barbara City College. I successfully transferred and graduated in 2017 from UCSB, and I'm now a third-year graduate student at UCSB School of Education. We've had a total of 80 internships and 10 post-bac fellowship opportunities through our collaboration with our partners. Our partners include the National Park Service, the Smithsonian Institution, UCSB, the Nature Conservancy, and the California Community Colleges. Due to COVID, internships were impacted in 2020. However, we were able to offer remote and hybrid internships and post-bac fellowships for both 2020 and 2021. I want to conclude by saying that I grew up in Ventura County. I saw the Channel Islands in the distance, but I never thought that I would be leading research there and training efforts in such an exotic and challenging environment. In 2015, as a community college student studying mathematics, I was selected to participate in the UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program. And I immersed myself in all the field research opportunities that could reasonably fit into my schedule. I was selected as a student lead for the population monitoring project, and I was a little scared to lead. I had limited experience, but I was determined and to be lead in providing critical support to the program coordinator and other student participants. The internship gave me professional development and project management experiences that I did not have or receive anywhere else. It made me a competitive applicant for other research opportunities, and it opened up new career prospects. I realized that although I was very interested in the conservation of the skunks, I was more motivated to help other students like me gain experiences in research in their own communities. As a graduate student, I want to apply universal design for learning framework to our program so that we can better support our students. I'm also the UCSB-Smithsonian Scholars Program Coordinator, a full-time UCSB staff position where I devote myself to helping underserved low-income students who are first in their families to attend college gain really early research experiences. I am fortunate enough to work on the Santa Cruz Island Reserve, where I can help shape conservation leaders from my local community. We're also very excited to welcome Dr. Steve Montfort as our new Executive Director of the UC Natural Reserve System. Dr. Montfort was instrumental in helping us establish the UCSB Smithsonian Scholars Program. I also want to thank Dr. Marion Whitman, Dr. Jay Reti for inviting me to speak today and for your ongoing support of our program as well. And I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cristina. That was an excellent presentation. It really, I wish that the Smithsonian Scholars Program existed when I was in college. I mean, what an amazing experience. And I just think it's so impressive that you were part of the inaugural class, and here you are now, being able to share your experience and your skill and your expertise with all the other students that are coming through. I'm really inspired by what you've said tonight, and just thank you for joining us this evening. All right, so I'm going to just invite everybody to please put any questions in the Q&A for either Cristina or for Jay about Santa Cruz Island Reserve or about the Smithsonian Scholars Program. And so while we're waiting for folks to get their Q&A in there, maybe I'll start with a question for you, Cristina. So, again, I think it's really striking that you were, part of the inaugural class of this Smithsonian Scholars Program, and then here you are. What are, could you tell us two things? One, what was your favorite part about being a Smithsonian scholar? And what's your favorite part about basically facilitating the other Smithsonian scholars that are out there today?
I think for me, being a Smithsonian scholar, UCSB Smithsonian scholar, I mean, you can't beat the islands, you can't beat Santa Cruz. That's definitely a huge bonus. But but I think it's the independence and the courage that you learn from being in a place like that. Like I said, I grew up in Ventura. I went to the beach a lot. I love the beach, so I know what it's like to be outdoors. But it's different when you're on the island. So you have to be really prepared. You can't forget batteries. You can't forget the SD cards. You know, I've misplaced the box of food with all the sugar in it. You know? Black coffee in the morning. Details like that. And I think that now that I know what to do, and I can teach others how to do that. So students coming in who want to do research, you do have to do research, but you also have to plan all the other details of what it takes to do a research project in a remote area like that. So that's really rewarding for me to do. That's my favorite part of being a scholar. And I also get to work with people who I considered my own mentors. So people from Santa Barbara City College, people from UCSB, people from Smithsonian who I really, really looked up to, still do, and now I get to call them colleagues. So that's really, I think, really special to me as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. And forgetting coffee when you're going to the island is a major offense. So that's a very important thing to impart upon everybody, in addition to all the very important other things that you're imparting to the group. Okay, so this next question is for Jay. And Jay, this is from Mario Castellanos. And Mario asks, what future plans do you have for networking and modernizing the island?
It's a great question in general. Many, and I look forward to sharing the full strategic plan with you, Mario, soon. A huge part of working within the Channel Islands and the Channel Islands community is building collaboration and building a good communication network, because we do have so many different organizations working, both the ones that I've mentioned, the Nature Conservancy, Park Service, NOAA and the Marine Sanctuary, the UC, the Navy. You get further south, you have the Catalina Conservancy. You have a lot of independent groups, Channel Islands Restoration, who's doing amazing work, Institute for Wildlife Studies, Smithsonian doing various work. You have many, many different groups. So creating communication networks between them is kind of the core thing, and the thing that I'm really focusing on now is building those collaborative groups. And then in terms of modernizing, there's a lot of things that we can do, such as climate monitoring and getting that online, right? Providing open access data that's not behind a firewall, or that doesn't take years to go collect the data, put it into spreadsheets, publish it someplace, right? This stuff is available, and that's also very good for data management. Also modernizing the way that we hold data management systems on the island for all of the research, so that we are aware as a community of what's going on. That's an important one. And then broader communications as well. One of the things I get a lot with people coming out to the island is, I can have a Zoom call from here. It's like, yeah, we have internet 6, we got 70 megs per second coming to the field station. That's a feat, and it's not something that's easily maintained. So a lot of the things that you take for granted are not taken for granted on the island. And we have a lot of plans to do this for our vehicle fleet, for communication systems, lots of different ways. So there's a lot of irons in the fire for that. I'd be, if you want to talk about any of those specifically, I'd be more than happy to.
Wonderful. It's a big operation out there for sure. And it's just really exciting to hear about it. So this next question, I think would be for you, Cristina. This is from Scott Cooper, and this is about the spotted skunk population. He asks, how is the spotted skunk population on Santa Cruz Island doing? Is it increasing, decreasing, staying the same?
Well, I will say stay tuned. We have over 1 million images. So right now we created an algorithm. The students created an algorithm using Python and R, and we have to refine it and then run all of our images through it, but we're close. But I also want to remind everybody, this is a completely student-led project. So it's their expertise. So it's as fast as the students go. But we're doing really, really well, actually. So stay tuned.
I can piggyback on top of that a little bit and just say it's a little bit unknown. There's kind of this ebb and flow with populations, and as you know, there's anecdotal evidence that people used to see a lot of skunks and now they don't. But those aren't numbers. That's not a formal survey. And there's a graduate student, Calypso Gregoric, who did a lot of work trying to establish some population level stats on the island spotted skunk. And as the fox populations have rebounded from near extinction, it seems like the skunk population is either going down or is becoming less visible. But there's also some evidence that that has happened over time as well. And this rebound has happened quickly. So the question is really, what is that equilibrium and where are we in that equation? And so a lot of the work that Cristina and the Smithsonian Scholars Group is doing is helping to establish what that number actually looks like.
Yeah. We have found them in many of our camera traps though, and we've smelled them. We just can't give you a number yet.
Well, good. Well, and you know, especially as the world is changing, the climate is changing, it's just ever so important to track these populations, these, you know, endemic, rare, one of a kind populations, and so this long-term data set essentially that your group is building is just really important information for the world, so that we can understand this. Cristina, this is another question for you. And one of our attendees asks, can you talk about the roles of graduate students in the program?
Yeah, so we are bringing on graduate students as mentors. We hope to have them create these small learning communities, little pockets of learning communities, and really build strengthen the cascading mentorship model that we have in our program. And I can do it too. I mean, I'm a graduate student as well, but it's really great to have a fleet, right, of students. So I'm really grateful for them. They do a lot of work as well. So, and traveling also, being on the island, helping students with research projects, helping students think through these a priori questions and what it's like to sort of do research, I think is really important. And I think the older and the more removed you get, you know, it's not as fun, right? So, yeah.
Great. Okay, and here's another question from Diana Soto. And Diana asks, I know that most students that get the opportunity to do research at the island are STEM, but what are some of the other majors that the program takes into consideration? Is it all STEM focused, or is there a broader?
So at the moment, we are all STEM focused, but we're really interested in bringing in also humanities and things like that. So that might be a new direction in the future. But in the past, we've only done STEM. But Jay, I know you guys have so many other disciplines coming through the island. So
yeah, Jay, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the variety of different kinds of research or classes that come through to the reserve?
Absolutely. We have long-term classes going back, like I was talking about with geology in the 60s. The geological sciences have been coming out for a long time. There's classes in archaeology that are not excavation led, but are much more about kind of the cultural history of Santa Cruz Island. We have classes led by reptile experts from marine biology and both intertidal and subtidal kinds of research that occur. We have high school classes that focus on botany and long-term studies of invasive versus native grasses, for example. They'll be coming out in about a week to keep monitoring some plots that have been monitored for 30 years. There's research into, there's classes that are looking at more of like the fungal aspects. There's particular species of mushrooms that live only in the roots of bishop pines and certain types of scrub oak. And there's a lot of classes that come out to focus on a wide variety of topics. And a lot of them dabble in multiple disciplines while they're there as well, which is also great to see.
Yeah, that's almost one of the best parts about, Santa Cruz Island Reserve, the field station there, and all of our reserves, which is that it's a bit of a gathering place. I've seen publications that come out of the reserves of anthropologists and biologists who never worked together before, and they sort of met over the dinner table at Santa Cruz Island Reserve and form those collaborations in that way. So that's one of my favorite things about the reserves, is that it's a way for people to get together that usually wouldn't be able to get together in that way. So okay, so this next question, I think back to you, Cristina. This is a question from C. Paige Hiller Adams, and the question is, can you compare the percentages of Smithsonian participants' graduations or going on to grad school to those who weren't in the program? And she says, thank you for your informative and inspiring presentation.
Thank you. I actually did try to do that once, but the data was really hard to get like aggregated across the community college system. But that is something that I am working on, would like to see myself. I just have to work on it. So I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer to that. But I know it's high. And we're also, if you think about it, I was in the pilot year 2015, and I'm on my third year. So I'm hoping that we're starting that pipeline, which is important.
Great. Okay, and here's another question about skunk monitoring. And this is from Callie Price, and Callie asks, Cristina, I noticed the skunk monitoring stations appear not to cross the line between the Nature Conservancy and National Park Service properties, or part of the island. Is that a coincidence, or do we not have access to that part of the island?
Well, we initially we have one camera in the National Park Service section. That was just an older. I think that was the first map that I created for the project in 2018. So it's an older map, but we do have one. And initially, we didn't put any of them there because we had not built that relationship with the National Park Service. But again, now we have, and we're slowly kind of starting to expand our cameras, and we hope to put more up there, more cameras. But so yeah, just one currently.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to getting some more cameras out there and getting into the parts of the island that have been harder to get to. And with the partnership with the Park Service, it's a wonderful thing. So again, here's another question for you, Cristina, and this is from Chris Sandoval. And Chris asks, what are the important factors that contributed to this successful program? Was it funding? Was it collaborations? Was it the need to have a field station? Was it leadership? What really pulled together this amazing program?
I think from what I see, it's friendship and collaboration. I think that initially Mario Castellanos and Dr. Jesus Maldonado saw the need, but they've also been colleagues for a really long time, and they've have these great relationship with other researchers who like working together and want to bring the community that's here into the research that's here. And then they see that need, and I think they're all invested. But even with the National Park Service, when we brought them on, Dr. Keith Lombardo came on, and I think there was a moment where we were all on Santa Cruz Island, and we were singing. Everyone was around the fire. We're singing with the guitar, and it's organic. And I think that that's really important, is finding the right partners who are invested in and who care just as much as you do. And it's not about a single project or the skunks or the jays. I think for me, it's about the student.
Yeah, well, really exciting. So this might be a question for Jay, and the question is, are there any studies taking place on Santa Cruz Island about plastic waste in the oceans? Maybe you can talk to the audience about that.
Sure. Yeah, I typed a little response to that as well, but the one that comes to mind, Cal State Channel Islands has a marine debris program that has been going on for multiple years, and they have multiple beaches across many of the Channel Islands where they systematically go and collect every scrap of debris that washes up on shore. They catalog it. They try to determine some aspect of sourcing. And then they actually, when they're done with that material, they turn it over to students on campus, and the students turn it into found art pieces. And they have an art show on campus based on found art debris. So it's a very kind of holistic program. That's the only one that I know of for like debris, that aspect. In terms of like microplastics and sampling ocean water, there are projects that are monitoring those kinds of things in the channel and more broadly, in the Central Coast region, but not stemming from the Santa Cruz Island Reserve.
Yeah. Great. Well, lots to learn out there for sure. Well, okay, I think we're gonna wrap up this evening's Q&A session. I just wanted to thank everybody out there for your really great and thoughtful questions. Please feel free to reach out to Cristina or Jay with any other questions that you may have about the reserve or the Smithsonian Scholars Program or anything that Cristina is pursuing as a PhD student here at UCSB. And I wanted to also just flag for next week, which will be our last seminar of our series this fall. We'll be sad to say goodbye to you for this year. And next week's host is the Rancho Merino Reserve. And our reserve director there, Keith Seidel, will present to you on what's going on at Rancho Merino. And we'll also introduce our speaker, who is Christy Bell from UC Santa Cruz. And Christy will be talking about why long-term rocky intertidal monitoring matters. So make sure you tune in with us next week, again, Tuesday at 7 p.m. And just a reminder again, too, that tonight's presentation has been recorded and will be put up on the UCSB Natural Reserve System YouTube page tomorrow. So if you missed any part of tonight, or if you want to share this with anybody, then please feel free to send that link around. And I just want to conclude by saying thank you to Jay, and thank you especially to Cristina for your excellent presentation tonight. I just love everything you're doing, and I'm really just made me smile to hear everything that you had to say. So thank you, and I will see you out on the island next time. And everybody have a great evening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Night.
Thank you.